We're back now with Homeland Security Secretary Jeh Johnson. Mr. Secretary, thank you for sticking around. There was this attack in Germany this week. Germany's now hunting the suspect in that truck attack, which was used to kill 12 people, put 48 people in the hospital. ISIS is pushing its followers to use cars and trucks to cause mass casualty events. ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack at Ohio State last month, where an SUV rammed into a crowd of people. 13 people got hurt there. When you're talking about a weapon that is literally ubiquitous in a physical civil society that's organized around making it easier for cars to get places, what's a national strategy for defending against something like that?
Good question. And just yesterday, we reiterated to state and local law enforcement guidance about large public gatherings, a parade, a New Year's Eve celebration. And here in New York City, for example, the NYPD does this extraordinarily well. You see the large sanitation trucks or the buses that literally create a perimeter around a large public event. And large cities, large police departments know how to do this. The moderate-sized cities, the small towns, not necessarily. And so we're out there raising awareness about basic things that can be done to prevent against that kind of attack. It's pretty basic, and the solution to it is there, and it's a question of raising awareness across the country.
Let me ask you about one policy matter that I think there's a lot of real emotional urgency around in this last month of the Obama administration. And that is these young immigrants, people who were brought to this country as kids. At the request of the Obama administration, they registered with the government. They came out of the shadows. They declared themselves to be undocumented. A lot of people are worried that those kids have proverbial targets on their foreheads right now for an administration that has a very different attitude on immigration. The president has been asked to somehow use his pardon power to try to protect those kids. Do you have any sense of whether or not that would work, whether the president has options here to protect them?
Well, first let me say the Dreamers, the DACA kids you're referring to.
Yeah.
This was a very successful program we launched in June 2012. 750,000 people signed up and were admitted. This is a group of people who were brought here as children. They're students, they work hard, and as a class, they are a remarkably responsible group of people. And in terms of our priorities for deportation, they are at the bottom of the priority list.
Your priorities.
Correct. And so my hope is that the next administration will come to the view that we have, which is the top priority for deportation are threats to public safety, the criminals, the convicted criminals. We've actually been focused on the convicted criminals for reasons of public safety. And you can't deport 11 million people. It's not a good idea to try. You need to focus on threats to public safety. And the DACA kids are, for the most part, and as a class, a remarkably responsible group of people who have come forward. They're on the books now. They're paying taxes. They've been here in all respects, except perhaps legally, they are Americanized. They've been here. They grew up here. I've met a lot of them.
Can they be protected, though? Is there anything the outgoing administration could do to protect them?
That's a very good question. And in the forms we put out, we said this information will not be used by immigration enforcement. And then there's this boilerplate language that says this policy does not create an enforceable right or whatever it says and can be changed at any time. And so the legal question is whether that boilerplate overrides any representations in the document, or whether when somebody applies and they rely on the representations made to them about the limited uses of that is an enforceable promise by the U.S. government.
And you're saying that not just to sound lawyerly, but you're saying that to indicate that maybe this will be a matter decided by the courts?
It may be. My sincere hope is that this next administration will wrestle with comprehensive immigration reform. They will take on border security, as they said they will. But, the president-elect has also said at some point we're going to take a look at these 11 million and figure out what to do. And when you get to that point, you're going to realize that the Dreamers, people who came here as kids, are people who are the most sympathetic in terms of who's here undocumented, and they ought to reckon with the fact that these people should be allowed to come out of the shadows and stay on the books.
Homeland Security Secretary Jeh Johnson, I have a million other things to ask you. I am grateful for this much time, though. Thank you
very much.
I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.